Thank you for staying. Let's serve you the news now. And in our first story, more than 500 individual pension bondholders have intensified calls for a total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. The Finance Minister, Akakpo, in his update on the economy on Monday, emphasized government's offer of a 15% coupon rate at a 5-year maturity period to individual pension bondholders, urging the bondholders to sign on to the deal. But the group has rejected the offer. They have been picketing at the Ministry of Finance to press home their demands for a total exemption. James Kwesi Aveji reports.
The group set a solemn tone for the day 2 of their picketing with chant of various patriotic songs to drum home their demand.
Total exemption, total exemption.
When one of them took to the microphone, he described how their members are dying not from the barrel of the gun, but from an investment gone bad, an investment in which their trusted partner, government, has failed to meet its end of the bargain.
We are here and we are veterans. Why are some of us, even as we speak, because of desperation, fear, having strokes, and some dying? Blood is still being shed. I want us to remind ourselves of what happened 75 years ago and remind ourselves of what is happening now. We are still pleading with His Excellency and with the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforata, to consider the total exempts.
Another pensioner said they are where they are today because government has allegedly smuggled a clause into the second debt exchange amendment bill, which has disarmed them from having an equal say on the terms of exchange program.
There is a clause that states categorically that the Republic of Ghana, of course, through the Ministry of Finance, reserve the right to amend the coupon, to extend the maturity date. And you are saying that you can change the coupon at your own discretion without resorting to me. You can extend the date, the maturity date, without resorting to me. You can change all the commercial terms. And this you would not want it to come to the public.
As they retire home from the second day of fighting for their money to no avail, they had one more message for government.
You are on you are on stroke. The drugs have been given to you that every day, take this, take that. You say, I don't have money, so I'm going to take it every week. You will die. Any disease that you have, that they have prescribed drug for you, if you don't get the sufficient money to buy that drug, you will die. And if that is what the government wants us to go through and die, a clear statement should be made that regardless of what we are doing, we will do it. And if we want to die, die.
The group returns Wednesday to continue picketing and fighting for their money. James Kwesi Aveji's report read to you.
Meanwhile, Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin has directed Finance Minister Ken Oforata to put the details of the domestic debt exchange program before the House for consideration.
Honourable members, my understanding is that both sides agree that the minister be scheduled to come and brief the House, policy statement, and some details about the debt arrangements. Parliament is ever prepared to assist government to get out of this quagmire. And so, what I can say now is that, like the church says, Roma locuta, causa finita est. Parliament has spoken, and that is the end of the case. The minister be scheduled by the business committee as early as possible, because this is an urgent matter. If the pensioners are picketing at the ministry, we need to do this as quickly as possible. I can say that by Tuesday next week. Tuesday next week. This week is quite packed, and so Tuesday next week will be appropriate. Even though we have some business to on Tuesday, I insist that it should be on Tuesday. We have to find time for the minister because this is a very urgent matter, particularly dealing with elderly people. We have to find time for the minister to give us a brief.
Now, President Akakpo has responded to the calls for him to reshuffle his government with what many have described as a replacement for ministers who have resigned rather than a reshuffle. In a letter to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, President Akakpo replaced Ala Chemating, who resigned as Trade and Industry Minister, with Adansi Asokwa Member of Parliament, Katie Hammond. Here is the Speaker of Parliament announcing the list.
Dr. Amin Adam is currently the Deputy Minister of Energy, responsible for petroleum sector and Member of Parliament for Karaga. Before coming into mainstream politics, he was with energy think tank African Center for Energy Policy and later became its executive director. Dr. Amin Adam has worked extensively in the extractive industries and resource management as a senior lecturer, advisor to several governments on the continent, as well as resource governance and a campaigner for transparency in resource management around the world. Dr. Amin Adam has also worked as the executive director of the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission. He was also the Deputy Minister of State for the Northern Region and Mayor of Tamale. In terms of education, he holds the Bachelor of Arts from the University of Cape Coast. Dr. Amin Adam holds PhD in Petroleum Economics from University of Dundee in UK, specializing in petroleum fiscal system. He also holds an MPhil and BA Honors Economics from the University of Cape Coast and is also a Fellow of the Institute of Certified Economists of Ghana. Dr. Amin Adam, by his designation, will be the next senior person at the ministry after Ken Ofori-Atta and will be responsible for taking some very important decisions if Ken Ofori-Atta is not around. With the current push by the public for the minister to step aside, could Dr. Amin Adam be the next Minister of Finance? Well, for Katie Hammond, he is currently the Member of Parliament for Adansi Asokwa in the Ashanti region and has served as a minister during ex-President Kufuor administration. In terms of his education, he is the product of the University of Ghana, where he holds a Bachelor of Arts in Law and Political Science. He is also a product of Gray's Inn Holborn Law School, London. From there, he acquired a Bachelor of Law in 1991. Katie Hammond's immediate task will be how to effectively implement government's industrialization agenda, including the One District, One Factory, and what policies can be put in place to support industries in the country.
An Italian-based Ghanaian woman on holiday is alleged to have been murdered by a neighbor at Sepe Workroom in the Ashanti region on Monday. The deceased, known only as Ma Akosi, was allegedly stabbed by her 20-year-old neighbor, Befi, who has often visited the deceased. Eyewitnesses say they saw the suspect jump out of a window in the victim's apartment to flee the scene after allegedly committing the crime. Nana Yaujima visited the scene and filed this report.
At the time of Love News' visit, the suspect in handcuffs has been brought to his house, which sits directly opposite that of the deceased. The police led him into the residence as part of investigations. Some visibly angry residents attempted pouncing on the suspect. A neighbor speaks of the relationship between the suspect and deceased. She clothes and feeds the suspect anytime she's in the country. He comes here always. He is like a grandson to her. The deceased is a very good friend of the suspect's grandmother. The deceased, Marcos, in her late 50s, lived in an apartment on the second floor of a two-story building. It is believed the suspect went through a window that leads to the apartment of the deceased to gain access to her. Residents say the suspect attempted breaking into the apartment weeks back, but the issues were resolved. An eyewitness says he was drawn to the scene after hearing noise that suggested a tussle in the apartment. The alarmed residents broke into the room to find the woman in a pool of blood.
Struggle. My friend first. No response.
I heard some people struggling in her room from my hall. I called her, but she didn't answer. When I came to her door, I knocked twice and she didn't respond. I had to call other tenants to help me break into the room. We could still hear them struggle. One tenant peeped through the window and saw blood, so we had to intensify efforts to break into the room. We entered to find a pool of blood, but the body wasn't there. We later found the body hidden in the bathroom.
For the meantime, this area and about share anymore. Bathroom.
The suspect, Befi, was subsequently arrested by some residents who tracked him from the scene after pulling a gun to aid his escape. Police continue to investigate the matter. For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima, Kumasi.
Operations Director for the Digital Film School Africa, Samuel Kojo-Asamoah, says as part of efforts in building the potential of African youth in the filming industry, focus must be centered on providing education in the digital space. He says the newly launched Digital Film School sets out to take advantage of the opportunities in Africa with the use of the virtual space to enhance film and digital education in Africa. There's more in the following report by Elisha Panford. Read to you.
School Africa, Samuel Kojo-Asamoah, indicated that the school will be training the youth in general filmmaking and some specialized areas in its space. He revealed there are countless opportunities in Africa which are not utilized, especially in the film industry.
What we intend to do in this project is to take advantage of the virtual space to increase access to film education using the virtual space. So this project has come about as a result of the fact that there is an opportunity in the virtual space, and we think that looking at the huge opportunities we have, the demographic badge we have in Africa, we can take advantage of it and train more young filmmakers. And we are giving every young filmmaker the chance to get trained in specialized film or filmmaking. Young filmmakers can submit their films in international film festivals. Young filmmakers can raise issues in their community. Using film as a tool, I want to be honest with you, a camera in the hand of a young filmmaker is a great asset if it is well exploited.
Director of the Center for Creative Arts of the African University College of Communications, Nana Echampong, also admonished Ghanaian filmmakers to take advantage to enhance their careers.
We're focusing on giving skills and then immersing it in the industry. So you have industry persons mentoring and instructing, and it's very, very practical based. We're hoping that a lot more Ghanaian filmmakers who do not have any credentials can come polish up their skills and then at least get a certificate at the end to show that they also have been there. But those people that have been trying to move the film forward and have been having problems, they've all come together, we join forces, and then we're introducing all the ideas that they had with the support of those who are sponsoring to give these skills out. So now it's like all things are coming together, and it's really exciting times there.
On his part, a newly admitted student of the school shared his first month experience with Joy News.
So I joined with the notion of wanting to understand the standard principles of documentary filmmaking, and I didn't have too much high expectations for joining this, right? I thought it was going to be the normal Ghanaian style of school. Definitely, this is going to have. I think this is actually going to jumpstart my career. It's nothing like I ever imagined would and could happen to me in Ghana. It's a beautiful place to be.
The newly launched initiative is being undertaken by the African University College of Communications and the National Council of Ghana Young Men Christian Association.
Thank you for staying with us for the news. That's how we cap it off. But up next, the news review. Stay.